Ruth Maguire, in summing up for the government, said this is the first step. And if that were true, then we may be able to try and build on what the government has brought forward today. But it is not the first step. And even at this stage, I would say to the Minister, to the Cabinet Secretary, look again, work with the other parties in this Parliament to look again and bring forward something that will put local government on a sound financial footing.
Cabinet Secretary.
Would Alec Rowley not reflect on the fact that that is actually what my motion says? I do want to work with parliamentary colleagues to take forward the kind of issues that we've debated today. That is the offer that's made out in the motion, in contrast to the Conservatives' amendment that says do that, but don't worry about the progressive nature of taxation. But we did include that as a foundation of those discussions.
Mr Rowley.
The motion, while trying to reach out to other parties, just simply does not go far enough. And if, as I say, this was the first step, then that would be the way to move forward. But the fact is, as Murdo Fraser, as Jackie Bailey and as others have pointed out in this very good debate that we had today, in 2007 the SNP came into government promising to replace the council tax. A council tax freeze, they said, would be introduced as a short-term measure to medium-term until they were able to bring forward an alternative. At the time, Nicola Sturgeon, and I quote, said, "Labour's hated council tax is totally unfair, and any tinkering with the bans would not make the system any fairer." Why in 2007 was it so unfair, and any tinkering bans would not make it fairer? But today the SNP seem to be suggesting that by tinkering with the bans it's going to be fairer.
Ms Forbes.
I thank the member for taking an intervention. I wasn't here in 2007, but as I understand it, the government didn't get enough support to scrap the council tax at the time, and Labour was in opposition.
Mr Rowley.
Well, the government have been in term for 2 offices now and 2 terms of office, and still we have the council tax. At the time in 2007, the SNP were absolutely clear. Nicola Sturgeon said it's time to scrap the council tax. Some 9 or 10 years later, we're back here tinkering with the council tax. Over 9 years, where many local services are now buckling under the financial pressure, and yet again what we actually have is the SNP bottling it when it comes to bringing forward a replacement. And now I would suggest what they actually want to do is tinker again. As Bob Doris said in the debate, these reforms are not the end, they are the start. But you've had 10 years. We should be much further forward, and local government cannot continue to take the level of cuts that they're taking and the impact on communities. They set up a commission. They ignore what it says. They bring forward yet again a stick-and-plaster solution that will further damage local services while continuing to undermine democracy. The Minister, Derek Mackay, in his speech said that it is difficult. This morning, I reread the submission to the Commission from Unison Scotland, of which I am a member, and there was a sentence that I thought best describes where we're at. They said in their submission, "We must find a solution. The problems are not technical, they are political. It's time for some grown-up decisions to be taken across all political parties." But sadly, in this chamber today, it would seem that when it comes to funding local services, the only party that is not able to face up to making such decisions is the party of government, the SNP. Instead, they propose yet again another fudge that quite simply fails to address the issues at hand. And who will be the losers for that failure? For starters, it will be the people who need to access public services. And as we've seen from the report published this morning by the Counts Commission on Social Work in Scotland, social care services cannot cope with the increasing levels of demand, and older people who need those services are being denied those services. This is predicted to get much worse unless something is done. On the subject of social work, I would also suggest that we need an urgent review of children and family services for the level of underfunding that is putting massive pressure on staff and their ability to meet the growing needs being placed upon them. But it is also local communities up and down Scotland that are seeing the impact of the failure of this SNP government to properly fund local government. Whether that is the local environment, the cuts to local groups, who are the backbone of community organisations, the cuts to youth services that are taking place where they're able to deliver less and less services for our young people in the community, the local libraries that are becoming less and less, and even where local services survive, we're seeing increased in charges and associated charges that mean that for many people trying to access local services, there is a barrier to doing so. And I could talk not about just the cuts to local services without mentioning the state of our streets and our roads. The impact is right across. The next time you drive on a pothole, just remember it was the SNP that done it. Because right across Scotland, we have seen a complete lack of investment in public services, in roads and infrastructure. Today, there is an opportunity. I hope the Parliament will take that opportunity. Let's once and for all put local government finance on a sound footing.
Thank you.